Hello everyone. Let's practice IELTS reading module. Let's begin with passage 1. Now pause the video and read the passage. Can we prevent the poles from melting? Let's begin with finding the answers to the questions. Questions 1 to 7. Match paragraphs A to F to the statements. Question 1. Concerns that geoengineering projects may stop people from reducing emissions. So let's check into the passage. Here in the paragraph E, sentence 1 says, opponents argue geoengineering may distract the world from cutting carbon emissions, the root cause of global warming. Here it says distract from cutting carbon emissions, which means stop people from reducing emission. Exact synonym match. So this statement is taken from the para E. And the next question 2. A historical example that inspired a modern geoengineering idea. So let's check into the passage. Here in the para B, sentence 3 says, one major proposal suggests releasing sulfur dioxide aerosols into the stratosphere to reflect sunlight and reduce global temperatures, inspired by volcanic eruptions like Mount Pinatubo, a historical example inspiring modern idea. Here Pinatubo, which means specific historical event, so which directly says that the statement is taken from the para B. And the next question 3. The belief that global warming cannot be fully avoided anymore. So let's check into the para A here. Sentence 1 says, scientists widely agree that global warming has already reached a stage where some level of climate change is unavoidable. So here we can see that some level is unavoidable, which means that cannot be fully avoided anymore. Direct match. So this is taken from the para A. And the next question 4. Planting certain types of trees to reflect sunlight. So let's get into the para D. Here sentence 1 says, in the Russian Arctic, several experimental suggestions involve planting beech trees to enhance surface reflectivity. So here beech forest to enhance surface reflectivity, which means planting certain types of trees to reflect sunlight. So this is the direct answer which has been taken from the para D. The next question 5. Winding ocean currents or moving ice makes some solution difficult to apply. So let's get into the para C. Here the sentence says that, however, experts note significant technical challenges, including the enormous force and movement of ice sheet. So which says that it is taken from the para C. The next question 6. The idea that geoengineering might only be temporary solution. So let's get into the para F. Here the sentence 2 says, geoengineering is viewed as a potential temporary measure while the world transitions towards cleaner energy. So here potential temporary measure, which means that might only to be temporary solution. The next question 7. Actions taken in one country to create better climate conditions. So to find the answer, let's get into the paragraph B. Here the sentence 1 says, geoengineering has shown limited local success, such as cloud seedling using a mascot to ensure clear skins during events. So which means that it has been taken from the para B. And the next questions 8 to 13. True, false or not given. Question 8. Geoengineering has already been successfully used to stop ice melting in Antarctica. Here there is no mention of Antarctica ice melting success anywhere. Paragraph C discusses ice proposal but says experts note significant technical challenges. So this statement is here not given. The next question 9. Some proposals focus on reflecting the sunlight away from the earth. So, here in the paragraph D, we have already read that releasing sulfur dioxide aerosols into the stratosphere to reflect sunlight, and in the para D, planting beech forest to enhance surface reflectivity. So, by this bold sentence, we can say that the statement is here true. And the next question 10. Experts believe deploying cables under the water will definitely stop icebergs from moving. So, here let's get into the paragraph C. Using reinforced cables to block or divert moving icebergs. However, experts note significant technical challenges. Here, significant technical challenges contradicts definitely stop. So the statement here is false. And the next question 11. Geoengineering could Geoengineering could create uneven temperature effects in different world regions. So let's get into the para E. Scientists warn that geoengineering may correct average temperatures but still leave the poles too warm and the tropics too cool. Here, poles too warm and tropics too cool. Uneven regional effects. So the statement here is true. And the next question 12. Russia has rejected all geoengineering experiments in Arctic. So here we will go to the para D discussing experimental suggestions but no rejection mentioned. So the statement is here not given. And the next question 13. Scientists think geoengineering should replace efforts to reduce fossil fuel usage. So here in the para A we see that supplementary approach, and in the para F which has been given that temporary measure while the world transitions. Here, supplementary and temporary contradicts replace. So the statement is here false. Next, reading passage 2. The evolution of zoos in American society. Now pause the video and read the passage. Let's start finding the answers to the questions. Questions 14 to 20. Question 14. The first zoos in the United States were established before the Civil War. Now refer to the paragraph 1 where it states the first American zoo opened in Philadelphia in 1874 and Cincinnati the following year. So the answer is false because the Civil War ended in 1865 whereas the first zoo was established in 1874, which is after the war. And the next question 15. The rapid growth of American cities increased public interest in nature recreation. Paragraph 1 clearly mentions that between 1860 and 1900, the population more than doubled, leading middle class cities dwellers to seek new connections with nature for recreation. So the answer is true because the passage clearly states that rapid population growth and urban living increased people's interest in nature-based recreation. The next question 16. Natural history remained a single, unified field throughout the late 19th century. Paragraph 1 clearly mentions that fields once grouped under nature history evolved into specialized disciplines like taxonomy, experimental embryology, and genetics. So the answer is false because natural history did not remain unified. Instead, it developed into several specialized scientific fields. The next question 17. Early American child relied mainly on private donations rather than public funding. Here in the paragraph 2, it's clearly mentioned that most operator under public parks administrations relying on multiple and offering free admission. So the answer is false because early zoos were mainly funded by municipal, it means government fundings, not by private donations. The next question 18. Zoos in the early 20th century focused on displaying large number of individuals animals from the same species. When we refer to the paragraph 2, it says often displaying just specimens per species. So the answer is false because the passage states that zoos displayed only one or two animals per species, not large number of same species. And the next question 19. The Work Progress Administration contributed financially to zoo development during the 1930s. Here in the paragraph 2, which clearly mentions that in the 1930s, the Work Progress Administration provided significant funding for construction projects across dozens of zoos. So the answer is true because the passage directly mentions that the Work Progress Administration financially supported zoo development during 1930s. The next question 20. By the 1970s, concerns about animal welfare led to significant changes in zoo management practice. When we refer to the paragraph 3, it says, by the 1970s, environmentalism and animal welfare reforms prompted reforms. So the answer is true because concerns about animal welfare led to reforms such as hiring expanding breeding programs and improving zoo management. And the next questions 21 to 26 summary completion. American zoos developed alongside the country's shift from a rural society to an increasingly dash. Here in the sentence we can see that transformation from a rural agriculture society to an urban industrial one. So the answer here is urban. And next continuation. As cities expanded, middle class residents sought contact with nature, which encouraged the growth of parks, museums, and public zoos. Over time, scientific research became more creating a divide between professional scientists and amateur collectors. So, the evidence sentence is evolved into specialized disciplines like taxonomy. So, the answer here is specialized. Next continuation. Early zoos promoted education and science while also serving as source of pride, and most were funded by local governments. So they become symbol of civic pride. So the answer here is civic. During the 1930s, many zoos construction support provided by the later decades saw criticism over poor animal condition. So, the evidence sentence is in the 1930s, the work progress significant funding. So, the answer here is Works Progress Administration, leading to reforms such as improved veterinary care and captive programs. Here, the evidence sentence is expanding captive breeding. So, the answer here is breeding. By the late 20th century, zoos increasingly immersive exhibits to raise public awareness. So, the evidence sentence with conservation taking center stage. So, the answer here is next reading passage 3. America's oldest art. Now pause the video and read the passage. Here let's start finding the answers to the questions. Questions 27 to 31, multiple choice. So let's start with the question 27. What is the main reason the rock art is Sierra da Capivara National Park causes controversy? Here in the para 1, we see that some scientists argue that painting could be between 25,000 and 36,000 years old, far older than the widely accepted theory. But age challenges migration theories is a main controversy. So the correct option is here B. The next question 28. The imagery in the rock art primarily shows here in the para 2 which says that lively scenes depicting hunting, dancing, supernatural themes use natural rock contours. So the correct option is here option B. And the next question 29. How have scientists estimated the age of some artwork at Tocado, Baqueiro da Pedra, Florida? Here in the para 3 which says that phalangeated fragments buried in ancient segments and researchers Naidi Guidan linked painted rocks fragments with stone tools and ancient hearts. So, with this one, we can say that option A is correct. Precise dating method prescribed. And the next question 30. Critics of the early dated argued that. Here in the para 4, we can see that hearts may be formed naturally from wildfire activity and that the artwork could be much more recent. Here we can say that by this option B is correct. And the next question 31. According to the passage, debates on early South American arrival includes idea of. Here in the paragraph 5 we can see that multiple migration waves occurred over a span of 60,000 to 1 lakh years plus ocean crossing from Africa or the Pacific. Here the both elements are included. So the option B is correct. And the next questions 32 to 36 sentence completion no more than 2 words or number. Now let's start with the question 32. Some archaeologists believe that Brazilian rock art may be up to dash years old. Here in the para 1, we have already read that it's in between 25,000 and 36,000 year old. Here we have already read that it is in between 25,000 and 36,000 year old. So the correct answer is 36,000. And the next question 33. The rock art is often found in dash locations indicating its significance in ancient societies. Here in the para 2 we have read that located in stepped and dangerous areas. So the correct answer here is steep and dangerous. And the next question 34. Tocado, Baqueiro da Pedra Florida. Painted rock fragments were were associated with stone tools and ancient. Here in the para 3 we have read ancient hearts dated to as early as 46,000 BC. The correct answer here is hearts. And the next question 35. Critics suggest that the supposed hearts might have been created naturally by dash. Here in the paragraph 4 we have seen that formed naturally from wildfire activity. So the answer here is wildfire activity. The next question 36. Despite disagreement, the Brazilian art is still considered an important source for understanding early human dash in the Americas. Here in the paragraph 6 which states that early human settlement in the Americas. So the correct answer here is settlement. And the next question 37 to 40 sentence ending matching A to F. So let's see the question 37. The location of much of Brazilian's rock art. Here in the para 2, which state that located in steep and dangerous areas, suggesting its importance to the ancient society. So the correct ending is D, suggests that the art held special significance for its creators. And the next question 38, the discovery of painted fragments with tools and hearts. In the paragraph 3, we have seen that suggesting very early human occupation. So the ending is F has been used to support claims of every early human occupation of the region. The next question 39. Critics who question the early dates. Here in the paragraph 4, we have seen that hearts may have formed naturally from wildfire activity. So the correct ending is A. Argue that natural fires could explain some of the supposed evidence of human activity. And the last question 40. The ongoing debates about migration routes. Here in the paragraph 5, it explains that multiple migration waves occurred over a span of 60,000 to 1 lakh years. So the correct ending is C. May point to several separate arrivals over tens of thousands of years. All answers displayed at the end. And thanks for watching. Follow us for more